are live. What's going on, fellas? Welcome to episode number 25 of the Nuclear Golf Podcast. My name is John. I'm the co-owner of Nuclear Golf and TW Legion, joined tonight by Nuclear Golf ambassadors Tim Bowman, Hutch Bennett. We've also got Ryan over from JT Legion with us tonight. Fellas, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about this week. Cam Young finally got that first win in his 94th start. And now comes the Ryder Cup talk after he won the Wyndham Championship yesterday in Greensboro. We're also going to get into the FedEx St. Jude Championship this week. Top guys are playing the first FedEx Cup playoff event of the season, and there's one big notable absence. We'll get into that. We're also going to talk a little bit about the playoffs in general, just kind of the format, how it kind of lacks the buzz, I think, of some of the other professional sports leagues. Talk about whether we think there should be some changes or how we see the playoffs going forward. We've also got Miyu Yamashita, who won the AIG Women's Open yesterday. Charlie Hall finished runner-up. Thought maybe this was going to be her opportunity to get that first major win, but it wasn't meant to be. Jordan Spieth predicts that he's going to have a big year in 2026. Bryson DeChambeau joined a presidential council. He was at the White House, and Michael Block was on standby for Adam Sandler in Happy Gilmore 2. So we're going to talk about that. Fellas, it's great to be back on another episode with you guys. As always, start a little bit talking about the Wyndham, Cam Young's first win. Tim, I know you were always dialed in. Were you watching the golf over the weekend? What did you think of Cam Young? Is he a boring golfer to you, or are you happy for him finally to get that first W?
I'm happy for him to finally get that first W. It's like getting the monkey off the back sometimes when you've finished second 7 times and top 10 22 times. You get to a point where you just wonder if you're ever going to win. And I know it sounds silly. Like you could say, oh, let's just keep knocking on the door. Eventually you'll get it. But, sometimes it's just not in the cards. So I'm super happy for him. He played really well. He seems to have turned a corner and has been playing better this summer. So it's good to see. I caught the very end of it because I was watching the Women's Open for the most part, and I wanted to see Ian Baker Finch's sign off too as well. So I caught the last few holes and was just happy for him. He doesn't seem like a guy that would get choked up, but Cam got a little choked up, so that was kind of cool to see.
Hutch, what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, it was more of a runaway than anything else. He just kind of lapped the field. He absolutely killed everybody. You've known for the longest time that the talent was there. Like he's been close a number of times. He's a great player. I mean, he's got all the tools, and at this point, like they're certainly going to talk about the Ryder Cup being a possibility for him being on the team. And whether or not you think you should be on it, I think it's worthy of a conversation at least. I mean, we talked a little last week about how you're looking for those handful of guys who are playing the best and are the hottest, and doesn't get much hotter than coming off a win where you beat everybody by 1 million. And that's pretty much what he did.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of thought it was a little bit more of a surprise knowing that golf course. That's not a bomber's paradise. And for a Happy Gilmore reference, he does have the long ball for sure. So, when I've walked that track before back in 2015 when Tiger had a chance to win, and it's just kind of surprising to me. Like I was looking at his record this year, and it's kind of a mixed bag. Tim's right; he has been playing a little bit better. I think he had a couple of top 4s at the Canadian at the U.S. Open, but I think he's played 21 events this year. He's missed 7 cuts, so he's missed a third of the cuts this year. So it's a little up and down. And it's been a little bit of a roller coaster for him, but super happy for him to get this win. He deserves it. He's worked hard. He's not the most interesting guy to watch play golf. He does not the most interesting guy to listen to in an interview, but he's a solid golfer. I know he puts in the work, and I'm just really happy to see it this week.
Yeah, you mentioned the finishes this year. Some of the ones that really stick out with the top 10s. He was T8 at the Century. He was T7 at the Truist. He was T4 at the Canadian Open, and then obviously had that T4 at the US Open. which will be a conversation point here, I think, as they look at whether he's going to be a guy for the Ryder Cup, and then the win at the Wyndham. But like you mentioned, 7 missed cuts this season. And then like a lot of finishes like in that like T25 to like T50 range as well, which, a little bit of lack of consistency there overall. Finishes in his majors, like T4 US Open this year, he was T9 at the Masters last year. In 2023, he had 2 top 10s at the majors, and in 2022, he did as well. Actually, he had 2 top 5s in 2022, but that's going back a long ways, obviously. It's crazy that it took 9. The thing that I can't believe is it took 94 starts for him to get his first PGA Tour win.
Yeah.
Because it felt like there was a lot of opportunities over the years here. We've seen him with big leads at various points, and he's just crumbled and not been able to close the deal. It's great that he was finally able to get over the hump here. Yeah, at a tournament like the Wyndham Championship. It's obviously not as elite of a tournament and as elite as a field as maybe he would want, but a win's a win, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, the thing is too, he had the pressure on him. I mean, this tournament was to gain more points to get him further in the playoffs. So, I mean, it is a pressure packed event, but all that you just rattled off is kind of been the story of his career. Like he's been close several times, but he
Mhm.
just hasn't got it done. And this time he just decided to obliterate the field. That's why I thought it was kind of a surprise. I just, when I see him with a lead like that on Sunday, I didn't necessarily think like, oh, he's going to keep that huge lead. And he did make
Well,
some bogeys, but I mean, it's
he
just kind of been the story of his career. Maybe this is the starting point to something big for him.
he was just so far ahead, there was no chance for him to crumble. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like he could have played awful and still been fine with such a huge lead. To Tim's point too, like he kind of has, and I know you agreed with it, Ryan. He has been playing better lately. If you look like early on in the season, I know he's missed 7 cuts, but 5 of those 7 came within 7 events early in the season, like starting at Genesis and his last missed cut in that stretch being the Masters. So between Genesis and Masters, he missed 5 cuts out of 7 events he played.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of, there was a really, really, really bad stretch there. And I mean, and there's some big events where he missed the cut. Like you're talking, Genesis, Arnold Palmer, the Masters, not that the Valspar is huge, but missed the cut there too. So, I mean, that not the only good finish sprinkled in that stretch was at the Valero where he was T18. And, he made the cut at the Players, but he finished 61st. So it's not like he was playing great at that point during the season anyway. He's kind of rounded into form. Now, that said, he's coming off a missed cut at the Open Championship too, right? So, it's kind of a rebound for him. Good for him. We'll see if it transpires. I've always thought it was interesting that he's sponsored by Major League Baseball, which is,
I have too.
don't know where that comes from, but whatever.
That's the same with the old Billy Andrade. I was like, where did that come from?
Yeah. And
Well,
I think
wasn't
Johnny
Young-
Vegas is too, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't
Cam
Payne
Young-
Stewart sponsored by the NFL?
Was he?
Cats.
Yeah, because all his knickers had NFL logos on them. He had Dolphins and Bears, and
Oh,
it
man,
was
I didn't
pretty
know
cool.
that.
Yeah,
That's pretty
it was
cool.
pretty cool.
I didn't know that. Tim's the only one old enough to remember.
Here's the explanation, fellas. Courtesy of Golf Balling Pod on X. Cam Young is sponsored by the MLB because his parents have known Commissioner Rob Manfred for over 20 years as a result of their memberships at Sleepy Hollow Golf Club. So there we
That
go.
makes sense.
Okay.
Cam Young ended up winning the tournament yesterday by 6 shots. I think at one point the margin had gotten to 9. I mean, we were approaching Tiger territory there for a bit. That didn't actually end up coming to be, but it's a huge win for Cam Young, like 6-shot win. It didn't really feel like anybody's really had a chance for quite some time there during that tournament. So big win for him. I guess the logical next conversation is the Ryder Cup. Should he be on the team? What are your guys' initial thoughts, or do you think that like a captain's pick should be going to other guys at this point? I'll pull up the standings too while you guys discuss.
I mean, for me, I don't know that.
Oh, I think we
I think
lost.
we lost Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, for me, no, I don't believe that he should be on the team. I know that I'm just looking at the standings. I know he's in 15th place right now as it stands, but you got like Patrick Cantley's above him. I'd rather have him. Chris
Yeah.
Gotterup is below him. I'd rather have him. You know what I mean? Like it's so I just don't know that. Yeah, it's great that he won, but on the other hand, like it's the Wyndham, right? It's not like it's an elite full field like signature event. It's the tournament that the guys go to right before the playoffs. The big
Mhm.
names that you get in that tournament are usually guys that have had rough years that are trying to scratch and claw into the playoffs. So I mean, yeah, it's a big win for him. I'm not trying to take anything away from him on that. Like it is a win, right? A win is a win, but I don't think it warrants it. Like 1 for 94, I just can't see it. I can't justify it in my head, especially in a Ryder Cup that I really more so than ever want us to win.
Yeah. So just before we go forward here, so in the 7 spot, it's JT. He's got over 10,000 points. Morikawa is number 8. Ben Griffin 9. Keegan Bradley is 10th. Maverick McNeely 11th, and Brian Harmon is 12th right now currently. Cam
Yeah.
Young moved up 4 spots. He's got almost 6,000 points. He's in 15 spot now. So I mean, there's guys ahead of him, like you said, Cantlay, Novak are 13 and 14.
Yeah.
Below him, you've got Burns, you've got Clark, Glover, Berger, Gotterup. And then you go down the list: Tom Hoagie, Tony Finau, Denny McCarthy.
Now, I
So-
will say this: our friend and rankings guru on X, VC606, he did tweet earlier that he said, guess what Cameron Young did the following week after his first win on the Corn Ferry Tour in 2021? He won again.
Okay.
So if he's able to come out and win again this week, then maybe we got another conversation. But right now, I can't justify it.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna. The only thing I can say about it is I'm undecided. To be fair to him and to the process, I don't. Do I could easily see him. I could easily pick him over Harmon and the guy in 11th because what have they done this year? Honestly, other than just have
That's a pace of
steady
play
year,
pick.
like I want, like I know it's the end of the season tournament. I know I get all that, but to me, during the Ryder Cup year, when guys start taking weeks off, their game gets thrown off a little bit. And I want guys that are playing and guys that are hot. Like for me, if he comes into the playoffs and finishes in the top 10 in a couple tournaments and is playing really well, I would rather see him out there than Harmon. Like me personally, nothing against Harmon, but he's a guy that would get intimidated by big moments. And I think Cam Young would just not relish him and be some unstoppable Ryder Cup god, but I could see him feeding off the atmosphere more and having more success than a guy like Harmon.
Yeah, Ryan, do you remember when Cam Young was actually snubbed from the team? Like he didn't end up making the Ryder Cup team after Fred Couples had like basically said he was going to be on the team.
Yes, I remember
Yeah,
those comments.
Yeah. So that's interesting as well. I mean, he's been, in the mix before for a spot and then didn't end up getting one. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to, let's don't be prisoner of the moment. Like if this continues, then absolutely like more consideration. But like Tim, a little bit undecided. But if it was up to me right this minute, it would be a no.
yeah. He went on the Dan on Golf show as well with Dan Rappaport. And he was saying as well, he recognizes, I mean, he obviously believes that he's a fit for the team and everything that he brings, but he recognized that he's got more more that he needs to do to prove that he's earned a spot, which is fair to say, and glad that he feels that way even after the win.
It's good he's got the awareness there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
I just think if
but I
it's
do
coming
like
down
Tim
to
saying Tim saying pick him over Harmon. That's you're just more worried about pace of play
No, I'm
than
not
anything
even.
else.
You know, the funny part is I wasn't even thinking that. I'm thinking Bethpage is a bomber's course, dude. Brian Harmon's not a bomber. That guy doesn't
No.
like. I'm thinking hole
agree.
number 15 is like 490 uphill, and Harmon's hitting a 3-wood into the green, an alternate shot, and Cam Young's hitting
Yeah.
a 4-iron. Like,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the course too. It doesn't seem like a good fit for Harmon. And if I'm coming down to captain's picks towards the end of, 10, 11, 12 through 15, 16, 17, I'm going to throw a little more consideration into someone who's actually won a tournament versus somebody who hasn't won one, but maybe they were more consistent during the 5 to 7 tournaments Hutch was talking about when he missed those cuts. Like, the guy's turned it around in the summer. He's playing really solid golf, and a missed cut at an Open is going to happen to a lot of good players. Missed the cut.
Yeah.
I believe Colin Morikawa missed the cut. So, I mean, and he's an 8th. So if we're going to hold that against Cam Young, we could hold that against, Morikawa as well. And he's playing hot, but I also want to see how he performs in the playoffs, because if he comes out and tanks, then he's still in
talking about the guys that are playing well. We're going into the playoffs this week. Top guys are playing FedEx St. Jude Championship, and there's actually one huge notable name who's not teeing it up this week. And I think he had hinted that he was going to skip this one actually like several weeks back, or maybe even a couple months back. But Rory McIlroy is not playing in Memphis this week. I mean, it is what it is. He's already into the last 2 events. Like, he's, obviously won the Masters. It's been a hell of a year for him. But just from a playoff standpoint, not being there for, you call it the season opener for the playoffs. What do you guys think about that? Do you think he should be playing this event, or it doesn't really matter? What are your thoughts? Hutch, start with you.
I don't think it matters. I mean, I know it's a bigger discussion that we'll have, but just the playoffs in golf is just kind of broken in general. This is not, I don't think it's a big deal. There's a history of this happening. There's, plenty of guys who have calculated that, hey, I've got enough points to where I don't have to worry about this. Now the bubble guys, like, yeah, they've got to be there. If you've got an event like this that you don't want to play at, Rory seems to be content with, moving to the UK, and he wants to kind of focus on family time and other things. And that's great. Like, he's earned the right to do stuff like this. He doesn't have to play all the playoff events. I think part of the motivation the tour had a few years ago in shortening the playoffs was to encourage or discourage guys from skipping any playoff events, but this is always going to happen. Like, there's not an extra incentive for him to be there. It's just the playoffs are just broken. And I don't know that there's a fix is the thing. Like, that's the bad part about it.
Yeah. Without delving into the later conversation of the playoffs, like, this is a little bit different year. I mean, Rory just won the Grand Slam. This is like, he's still in cruise mode. I know that he's gained some focus since he's, since after that little lull, but if he's not incentivized, let's be honest, as a top player, and he knows he's going to be making it to the Tour Championship, unless he's penalized, like I know that they were doing for missing a certain number of signature events, or whether he's not incentivized enough to lose enough points to where he's not going to qualify, that's, that would bring him to the tournament for sure. But at this point, I think it's a combination of 2 things. I think he's not incentivized, and he's still a little bit on a high from the Masters, and he's doing other things, and he's in London, and he's concentrating on business adventures, and he's doing what he wants to do. So not a big deal to me, but if they want the top players there, they've got to incentivize them to be there.
If we look at the winners of we're going to talk a little bit about the playoff situation and whether we agree or disagree on, the overall kind of buzz around the playoffs and what they might need to do to improve it. But just going back the past few years, Will Zalatoris won it in 2022, 15 under par. Lucas Glover won it in 2023, same score. 2024 it was Hideki, remember, over that, I think it was a playoff was it a playoff? I don't think it wasn't a playoff. He had a 2-stroke win. Hovland and Xander, I think, were the runners up in that year. But this year, I mean, we'll see, right? It's the first year that they've done some changes to the format going into the playoffs, with the changes going into the Tour Championship and whatnot. But what are your guys' thoughts on the overall playoff picture? Do you think they need to do something to spice it up? Should we get, I know they turned the page on the match play consideration at the Tour Championship. It just kind of feels in general like the FedEx Cup playoff events almost feel like signature events in a way. It's just another golf tournament in a sense. It doesn't feel like we're heading in to the postseason and all eyes are on the, these events like don't feel like they're any more special. Did you guys feel that?
I think in golf especially too, it's hard. It's not a sport that was designed for playoffs. It really hard to create a fair playoff system. And so the way I look at it personally, Rory skipping the first event, to me, that's like him earning a bye. It's like a playoff team that earned a bye. Like, if you don't have to play in those events, then fantastic. Take a week off. That's awesome. Like, I think that's great. But like the playoffs is dead, or it's hard to get excited for the playoffs because they don't have a whole lot of meaning. And in golf, it's really hard to design a format that's good for a playoff, because if you want to go, match play, some of the best players in the world are not that good at match play. So do you want the top 5 guys out after the first day? No, that's probably not good. You want them in as long as possible. So like, I'm like Hutch, I don't have any fix for it, but I just think it's really hard to.
It's just, it's just kind of like, if you could equate it to something else, like I'll ask you guys, like, is any playoff events, the Tour Championship included, are any of those events in your mind bigger or even near the same stratosphere as the Masters or the U.S. Open or the Open Championship or the PGA?
Not even close. I mean, I think the Tour Championship probably falls number 6, right behind the Players.
So you're not getting excited. Like, if you're equating it to the NBA, like, the finals is what everybody's playing for. That's what they're going for, and people get excited for that. You're not getting excited for the 12 o'clock game on Christmas Day, and that's probably the biggest regular season game that the NBA has is Christmas Day games, right? You're not getting up for that. You can't. It's just not the same thing. Golf is just. It's not a sport that's driven by the playoffs. It's driven by the majors and the personalities. Like, it's not.
That's nailing it.
And you can't just sum up the whole season. Like, there's not a good answer. It's just money, I guess, ultimately is what they're going for. But
it's still mind-boggling to me, though, that like they couldn't incorporate the match play into it in some way, shape, or form. Like, imagine like Scotty versus Rory, like, for the final. Like,
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So I don't have I'm not here to solve the golf world problems of the playoffs, but if you can take the first 2 events somehow and go from 70 to 50 to 30, I feel like regardless of Tim, whether a player is good at match play or not, they're good at golf. Their job is to go out and play the format in front of them, just like an alternate shot in the Ryder Cup. They might suck at that, and they might be great at stroke play. But if you could get it down to a bracket of 30 people on the Tour Championship, I do feel like that would entice viewers to watch more.
I could see that.
Because I used to love the tournament in Arizona when they had match play. That was amazing back in the Tiger days. Like, that was a fun watch. I do think that there's a place for it. I don't know the exact way to get there, but it would be at the Tour Championship, and I do feel like that at some point we're going to get there.
Yeah, I was more or less meaning I felt like 70 was too many players for match play. If they could get it down to 30 or even 16, something like that, where you have the 16 best stroke players playing, that would be pretty cool. But it goes back to like a point that Hutch was talking about. It's not when you have almost anybody watches the Masters, golf fans, non-golf fans, like you got everybody watching that. But when it comes to the Tour Championship, you're not getting those same fans. You're getting the diehard golf fans that want to see the top 30 players one more time before the season's up.
Mhm.
But as soon as the season's up and the Ryder Cup's over, what's everyone talking about? Even non-golf fans, man, 195 days till the Masters.
Yeah,
month
exactly.
and a half until the ESPN commercials.
Yeah.
And us
Like-
sickos are talking about like X amount of days until the PNC or the Hero, so that
Exactly.
maybe Tiger will be back. Maybe.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And my guess is too, like if you go back and look at the numbers, I don't know if I'm sure Nielsen has all this published, but outside of the year that Tiger won, and what was that, 18?
Yeah.
Like, has there been, like, I'm sure that was a media spike, a viewership spike, but outside of that, it's probably been pretty low. You know,
Yeah.
it's just not. It just doesn't have the pizzazz you need to be as a finality to the to the year. It just doesn't have it. I think
Yeah.
match play would help that if you could get it down to 30. I really do. If you could watch the guys play, 36 holes on a Sunday or whatever it would look like. I think it would be so much fun.
It doesn't encapsulate the full season either. That's the hard part of it,
Yeah.
because it's just an individual sport. Whereas, every other major sports league is a team sport, and all these games that you play in the regular season matter so much because it's a team, it's a collective group. Like individually, one person can get hot. If Steph Curry goes out and is scoring 45 points a game, but everybody else on his team is shit, like they're probably not going anywhere, right? But it may be exciting, but they're probably not going anywhere. In golf, if you've got somebody like, let's use Cam Young, for example. If he gets hot and reels off 3 wins in a row right here, he may win the FedEx Cup. Does that mean he had the best year? Absolutely not. No way.
It's
No
a
way.
flawed measuring system.
Hutch,
like that.
I thought you
like
were,
that.
I thought you were gonna say Cam Smith there because there's a Live Chicago event this week, and I know he's had quite a year.
Yeah, baby.
I kind of like the point that Hutch made about it. It's almost like the PGA Tour has it backwards. They hold the event for all the winners in January. Maybe if they held a match play event at the end with all the winners, that people would watch that. That would be interesting. Like, it's an idea, but instead of, in all the other sports, it's the 2 best teams playing at the end for the championship. But in golf, it's the best 70 players going for it. And it's like that, it just doesn't seem like it sits right. And especially when you have all the winners playing in January, like do something different, have all the winners play for the championship. If you're really trying to determine who's the champion of that year, have the winners.
It definitely feels like there's a lot of things that could change to make the playoffs more exciting for the fan. One event that is heading towards the team championship is Live. They've got, I think, 2 events left before the team championship.
Yeah.
We've got Live Golf Chicago this week at Bolingbrook Golf Club. And then there's also the event in Indianapolis as well before they go over to Dallas, I believe, for the team championship. Is that right, Hutch?
No, so the next week is in
this
week Chicago. Next week is Michigan. And then it's Indy, I believe, for the team championship. I think Dallas is the individual championship.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm pretty sure.
So Chicago is this week. Chicago is the only city to have hosted a Live Golf tournament in each of the league's first 4 seasons. Yeah. So must be getting some.
This is at a Muni.
Yeah.
This week's at a Muni.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, look, I remember when it was announced, like there were obviously some haters out there saying some negative things, but then there are also some good sides of it. Like, hey, we're bringing it to a course that is, and people like the same thing with like Bethpage. You see it with, hey, this is a golf course that anybody can go play. Anybody can go play. And so it's very cool, I think. And I mean, if the course is not in great shape, they're not going to have a tournament there, right? Like you can't put on an event at a course that's not a championship level course. You just can't do it. And historically, as we've seen pretty much all year, Live plays typically more difficult golf courses than they don't often have, guys who are shooting 9 or 10 under every round is all I'm saying. It remains to be seen if they'll get to stay at Doral next year, but like they play Doral.
They're clearly not going to be at Doral next year because Doral's already signed on with the tour. So
Tour, I know.
The tour
It's
is
a
not
bummer.
going to. The tour would not have agreed to go back there if they were still hosting the Live event.
For sure.
It's a bummer. They should do both, though.
But Hutch, speaking to your course conditions thing, do you remember when a few weeks ago when they were overseas and Bryson he had that clip where he was in the bunker and he was talking about how shit the bunkers were and stuff like that. So my only and Rom and those guys who have a tendency to complain about course conditions, the only thing I would say is if you're playing at a Muni, and I can only imagine the comments that are going to come out from the actual guys playing it, even though they're supposed to be set up in primo condition.
Yeah, but then you hear the same thing. Like you hear guys complaining at even major championships. Like you hear golfers saying "F this place" or "these greens suck" or blah blah blah. I think a lot of that comes down to how you're playing. Is honestly what I think. If you're playing terrible, like you're going to look for an excuse. Just kind of my thought on it, but Liv is playing 3 weeks in a row. It's an exciting time, I guess. I'm the Live guy. I'm excited to watch this week. 3 straight United States events too, which is nice because they've been kind of all over the world.
Yeah, it says on the Live app, I could be wrong, but it says that there's 3 tournaments left. It says that there's the event this week in Chicago, and then I think the Indianapolis event, and then it says the Dallas event, I think. So
I've got the August 22nd through 24th is the team championship in Michigan.
Oh.
Okay. At the Cardinal at St. John's, but I'll look real quick while y'all talk.
Yeah, no, there definitely is an event in Michigan. It's the team championship in Michigan, the Cardinal at St. John's.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that is Live Chicago, Live Indy, and then team championship in Michigan. Those are the last 3 events. So yeah, that's it. There's no Dallas event.
There's no Dallas. Okay.
They already
played in Dallas the other week.
Yeah. They already played there.
That is a good point. They did do that. I should know that as a Live guy. And we even talked about it being a home event for Bryson and not. Man. My bad.
Yeah, for sure.
I failed us here.
No worries. We're all good. Not sure if you guys had a chance to watch the AIG Women's Open. Charlie Hall finished T2. Miyu Yamashita ended up winning. I think it was actually her first LPGA Tour victory and first major championship win. She had won 13 times previously on the LPGA Japan Tour, but this was her first win on the LPGA Tour. It looked like for a little bit there, like Charlie Hall was going to, try and get it done in the late stages, but wasn't able to close the deal. And that's kind of been a trend with her over the past several years. Ryan, I'm sure you've kind of been keeping an eye on Charlie's progress over the last few years. She's had some close calls in majors, like some really high finishes, but she's been unable to finish the deal.
Yeah, she really has. She's had some big moments that she could have capitalized on. And, I didn't get to watch a ton of it, but I did kind of see towards the end there, she made a couple of bogeys coming down the stretch because she was right in there. And it's a tough break because I know the golf world wanted Charlie Hall to win. She's a dazzling star out there for sure. But I know Tim got to watch a lot more of it, so he's gonna have a lot more knowledge on what happened than I did for sure.
The floor is yours, Timothy.
It was, it was another awesome tournament. It was Yamashita played great. She really struggled on Saturday. There's times in tournaments where players make shots or putts where you just think that this is their year or their time. And on Saturday, she was struggling big time. she had hit her first 6 fairways. So she started off hot. She hit her first 6 fairways and she was extending the lead, and it looked like she may run away with it. And then she had like a 4-shot lead going into 7 or 8, and then she missed her next 7 fairways, and the struggle bus was real. She had the 2-way miss, the hook, the slice. She was letting a lot of people back in a lot of ladies were back in that tournament. And then Charlie Hull was 8 under and had finished on Saturday, and she had like a 40-footer for par on 17 and drained it. And it was when I saw that, it's one of those moments in majors where you just think she might win by 1. That's going to be the putt that wins it, because everybody was thinking bogey, bogey, bogey. And that going into Sunday with the lead versus tied for the lead is a huge mental difference. She came out on Sunday and birdied, like three of the first 7 or 8 holes on the front 9, had a nice solid 33 to start her front 9 and built the lead back up, and Charlie was chasing her. But if they had started off even, and she had made a bogey, you never know what the player's mindset's going to be. But Charlie made a great run on Sunday. She was 1 back and had all the momentum in the world, was playing a par 5, the 13th, one that she could reach into. She missed like a 7-footer for birdie, and Yamashita birdied the hole before that she was on to make it a 2-shot swing. And then all of a sudden Charlie made another bogey, and then it just kind of derailed from there. But like I say, sometimes it's when you're 6 or 7 under in the final round, like Charlie got to at one point, it's hard to keep that all the way through the full 18 holes, especially in a major. You see a lot of players over time will be 5, 6, 7 under after 12 or 13 in a major, and they'll finish up 5 under, which is still a great round. But more often than not, you see them, make a mistake or two down the stretch. And like I was talking with Ryan earlier, she bogeyed 2 holes down the stretch, but she didn't hit terrible shots. I mean, she hit it in a fairway bunker on 15 or 16, and she missed the fairway. I mean, she hit the fairway, missed her spot by 1.5 yards and rolled in the bunker. And fairway bunkers at the Open are like a 1-stroke penalty. So
she was laying back on that.
Yeah, she was. So,
but see, and to your point, Tim, we talked about that even last week when we were recapping the live event with Bubba going 8 under through those 6 holes. It's just kind of hard to sustain that pace. Like you can't, like there's a letdown coming at some point, right? Like when's it going to even out? And for her, evened out at kind of a bad time. I think it started with that missed putt like you talk about, and then it kind of carried over when she's trying to lay back and play it safe off the tee, and she ends up in the fairway bunker that leads to a bogey. The girl that Yamashita that won, I mean, it's not like I know you said she was putting great. Her first putts, her biggest putts were the second putts that she would have when she'd leave herself 10 feet, for par, and she was making all those. So that was kind of what was crazy, because she'd hit these first putts, and I'm like, oh God, that's a terrible putt. She's got like 10, she blew it 10 feet past the hole, or she left it 10 feet short. She had a chip shot at one point and left herself 15 feet for par. And we're thinking, this is a big swing right here in the heart, poured it in. I mean, so those were the biggest things that I saw out of her.
Yep.
Charlie, you just got to feel like her time's coming though.
Yep.
Fellas, just keeping it on the same person here, but Charlie Hall made some interesting comments this week about golf in general and the artistic element of golf. She said she doesn't think golf is the artistic sport that it once was, and she doesn't have much interest in watching golf when she's not playing. Here's her quote. She said, I think golf back 20, 30 years ago, say 19 up to like 2000s, it was more of an art. The players, even then, men would have to hit draws and fades and stuff in it, where I think now it's become more of a power game, and where it's become the technology has advanced so much, everyone can just hit it straight and far, and that's kind of taking the art away from it. She went on to say, whenever I watch golf and all that, like who won the British Open in the 1970s and that, I find it way more interesting back then. Like I wouldn't really watch golf now, really. So that warranted a lot of comments online, people giving their takes. I mean, I'm kind of yes and no on it. I think there definitely was, the artistry more so back in the day. All the guys now are hitting it 300 plus yards. That's just a default characteristic of anybody on the PGA Tour. As opposed to when Tiger came out, nobody was hitting it that far except him and VJ. And that wasn't
John Daly.
Yeah, and John Daly. That wasn't allocated to technology. That was just allocated to, pure strength, essentially, right?
Yeah.
But what do you guys think? Do you think golf is like no longer interesting or lacks certain things? Has it just become kind of a boring sport with the technology, or is there's still shot making out there, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And I would say, I think there's a couple of things. I mean, Scotty Scheffler would like a word about that because he's the guy on the range you don't see with the TrackMan. He's out there working on fundamentals, and you watch that guy play. He has every shot in the bag around the course, every shot. He is not a Colin Morikawa who only hits the ball left to right. Now, predominantly, yes, he is not an old reference at a Kenny Perry who only hits the ball right to left. Like there's different guys, right? But I don't think that she's wrong because there is so many TrackMans and there is so many coach. Every guy's got 3 coaches, right? They got a putting coach, they got a mental coach, and they got a swing coach, right? But I do think there's still a ton of creativity. If you watch as much golf as we do, you get to see it. You get to see all the good shots. Going back to what me and Hutch were talking about earlier, that Tiger shot out of the bunker overseas. Like, there's a ton of creativity in golf. I think there's so much media focus now that we get to see live on the range at the Masters, live here, live there. And we get to see all these guys just with their TrackMans, and we assume that that's the only thing that they're using. But once they get in the element, they're using their creativity. She might just be looking at it a little bit more from an inside point of view than a viewership. I don't know how much golf she watches, but I'm with you, John. It's a little yes and a little bit of no, but there's still plenty of creativity and coming from the world's best golfer right now for sure.
It's hard to just put that in a it's just like a very general statement. It's hard to put it in one box, right? Like for her to say that it just lacks creativity as a whole doesn't feel like a fair statement. There are some, like you're saying, Ryan, there's some very valid points she's making. It is kind of everybody hits it long and straight now, and that's just it. Some weeks it feels like just driver wedge. You can overpower a golf course. Bryson was it Winged Foot in 2020 where everybody said, "Oh, you can't hit it in the rough, you can't," and he just overpowered it. There is some of that, but like you can't. I don't think you can be at the highest level of this game just overpowering it. Like you just can't. Like there's got to be some shot making ability, and some of that comes down to even short game. Like that's also a part of shot making, and I think that's kind of being left out. It just felt like a very gross generalization that she made. Now, granted, she's a professional golfer, so she knows more than we do, right? Like she's on the inside, and we're not. But I just don't think that's a fair thing to just generally say. I'm kind of with you, like we talked about, and you said it. We talked about the shot in Mexico that Tiger hit out of the bunker, where he just gave the helicopter finish, and that thing hit once and shot to the right about 30 feet, and he missed the putt, of course. But the announcer at the time said, "This is Tiger the artist," and there is still an art to it. So it's and that's only 5-6 years ago.
I think over time, because I think with you guys, it's a little bit of yes and no. I think over time, the definition of the word creativity has changed too. Like what was a hook or a slice 20 or 30 years ago, and the guys were hitting it a little shorter. Now it's what line am I going to take over the trees? Like to me, that's creative too, because you're cutting off a lot of the golf course and you're taking a risk. If you mishit it a little bit, you're in a lot of trouble. So the definition of just because guys hit it long and straight doesn't always mean it's not creative anymore. They're still having to be creative because the courses are kind of defenseless to the the technology and the power. So, there's tons of short game, creativity and whatnot. So a little bit of yeah and a little bit of no. And like Hutch, or like these guys were saying about one of the golfers, Bubba Watson would like a word. I don't think he's hit a straight shot ever.
Well,
He can't, and he can't, and he says that too. Yeah. He's very open about he does not see things. He can't look at a golf shot and say, I got to hit it straight. He can't hit a straight shot. He'll tell you that all day. I mean, you got to watch, go back to last week, you get to watch, him hit two drivers off the deck. And, there is very much a creative aspect. And just, for me, like I say, it's just a kind of a gross generalization. And I love Charlie Hull, so I hate saying that and I hate disagreeing with her. But
well, I think it just puts everybody in the same bucket, and everybody's not in the same bucket. And if these guys weren't creative, you wouldn't see all these new 7 woods and 9 woods in these guys' bags. They're trying different shots with different stuff. They're not taking out the old butter knife 2-iron anymore. They've got a different club in their bag. They're hitting mini drivers. So the definition of creativity, to your point, Tim, has changed. But it's just evolved, really. It's not that they're not creative. It's just evolved differently.
Yeah. We're going to pivot to Jordan Spieth, who's predicting that he's going to have a big year in 2026. Just looking at the numbers here, Jordan Spieth's going into the first FedEx Cup playoff event in 48th position. Top 50 obviously advance into the BMW championship. But just an interesting quote. He said, next year is going to be a really good year for me. I can feel it. It's all coming along. One good offseason should get me nailed down to where I could be as good as I've been. That's my goal. So Spieth talking about being as good as he's been. I mean, that would be a decade ago now, right? I'm almost a decade ago that Spieth was at the height of his powers. Curious to hear your guys' thoughts. Do you think Jordan Spieth's going to return to the top of his game next season, or is this just some optimism from him?
Maybe the top of his game, but the top of the game, no.
Well,
yeah, I don't see him competing with Scotty Scheffler every week, but I do believe Jordan's going to have a good year next year. He's just he's gone through. He's just had his third kid.
He's done having kids, probably.
He's done having kids. I believe that. I think his surgery's coming along fine. And it takes a lot for a player to say that too, because remember earlier this year when JT came out and he said, I can have a Scotty Scheffler type year. That got taken way out of context. And clearly, if you're going to have a 7, 8, 9 win season, you've got to be on all facets of your game. But for him to have the confidence to come out and say that to the media, he's got to believe it. And if he believes it, that's the start to everything. So I think he'll have a good year. I don't think he'll be 2015 Jordan Spieth.
No.
But if he's 3/4 that good, he's going to win.
Yeah. We're looking
and that's good for the tour. Like Jordan Spieth is a winner. There's no denying his popularity.
Oh yeah.
Particularly with the kids, right? Like, so that's a huge thing for the tour. I feel like that Jordan Spieth is gone and it ain't coming back. I mean, there was a time, like, you remember he came out hot and he won the Masters and then he was right there again the next year. And it's just like, you just thought, well, this guy has just got this golf course figured out. Like, he's always going to be great at the Masters or whatever. And then just kind of since that 1 year, I don't know. It's just kind of been, I just don't see it. Again, like I'll say, can he be at the top of his game? Maybe, but the rest of the guys have caught up and competing with Scotty Scheffler just doesn't seem. And we've talked about it before on the show where he said it, like, I used to be able to beat Scotty Scheffler and now I can't. I mean, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it just is what it is.
Looking at the last few starts for Spieth, T31 at the Wyndham, T40 at the Open. He withdrew at the Travelers with the injury. T23 at US Open. Best finishes were T7 at the Memorial. He was 4th place at the CJ Cup. And then he was T4 at the Waste Management. He was T9 at the Cognizant. But apart from those, it's been a very, very mixed year. He's had some top 20s for sure sprinkled in there, but several finishes like in the 40s, 50s, 59th at the Players, T14 at Augusta, but missed the cut at the PGA, right? So it's been a bit of a mixed bag for Jordan Spieth as well this season. And here's to hoping that he's able to truly return to some top form next season, because the game, we've talked about this, but the game is in a much better spot when he is up there. He is still one of the guys that move the needle. He's one of those top 3, 4, 5 guys that really make a difference when it comes to the interest level, the engagement online, the TV ratings, those metrics that we know move the dial when it comes to PGA Tour viewership and interest. So we'll see how Jordan Spieth rebounds next year. He's obviously got something to look forward to for him to be saying those things like the way he did. So optimism for Jordan Spieth. Tim, we're going to move forward to the Bryson joining the Presidential Council. The President Trump announced the return of the fitness testing. Not sure if you guys saw that, but what did you make of Bryson DeChambeau appearing at the White House?
I just thought it was an eclectic group. You've got President Trump, Bryson DeChambeau, Triple H on stage. Like, it's just like, what is happening here? I thought it was, it took me back because when I was a kid, we had to do the presidential fitness test in elementary school. And so it's just kind of, Bryson is kind of tapped into those circles. We've known he's played golf with President Trump before, so it wasn't a surprise to see him there. I thought the funniest thing was hearing President Trump trying to pronounce Tua Tagovailoa's name, which I thought was the funniest part of the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean Bryson's. I don't know a ton about the details of the council, so I don't know. I don't know what all he'll be doing and what all he's involved in, but I would say he's the right guy when it comes to trying to help grow the game, really trying to help with nutrition programs, training programs.
Yeah.
That's where I think he fits in, and I think this is a hell of a role for him. And I mean, I'm pulling for him because I want more access to golf for young people, more access to better nutrition, more access to better training facilities and that type of thing. So if he can be involved in that, if that's a result of this council, then I mean, I think it's going to be great for me.
Yeah. DeChambeau said, quote, "We believe we can change the fabric of our communities and kids' livelihoods for the future generations that are to come. I can't thank you enough, and looking forward to making a massive change in kids' lives and America's future." Not exactly clear what sort of things they're going to be implementing, but Bryson is the chair of the council. He was joined by some other guys as well at the White House, WWE wrestler Triple H, Lawrence Taylor, NFL great, was there as well. It's good for Bryson to take on a role like this. I think it's something that's obviously a positive in terms of trying to make people's lives better. So there's no fault there with that. I think the intentions are good with it. They already announced that the fitness testing is coming back. So we'll see. We'll see where this goes. And, Bryson's already done a lot to inspire people in the game of golf, up and coming youth with his YouTube channel. He's definitely gone on to become one of the top creators on YouTube altogether. He, with his content, he really moves the needle compared to the other people that are putting out stuff. So from a player standpoint, I don't think anybody's done more content-wise than Bryson's done.
To Ryan's point about the nutrition, like did you watch the Breaking 50 with the Bob Does Sports guys? When he was trying to make Bob eat, he was trying to make Bob eat all of his healthy snacks, and Bob was like, "These are terrible, Bryson. what is this? This is terrible." But in his nice way, he's like, "That's just not for me. This is not for me. That may be for you, Bryson, but it's not for me."
All right, let's shift gears. Big Michael Block story. The Block Party is back. So Michael Block was on standby. This is according to Happy Gilmore to co-producer Chad Mumm, who's involved with Pro Shop Studios. Obviously, he's involved with Full Swing series as well on Netflix. But he posted a photo with what looked to be Michael Block, and the story has actually come out courtesy of Scratch. So apparently Michael Block was on standby for being a fill-in role in the event that Adam Sandler wasn't able to do the Happy Gilmore swing. Apparently Adam Sandler hurt his knee, and there was concerns that he wasn't going to be able to fill the role or to perform the swing the way that they needed it to be. So I guess they flew Michael Block in to New York City. He got fully dialed in. He had the beard going on, got a haircut, pretty interesting look that he had going on with the jersey and the whole 9 yards. Did you guys see the photo of Michael Block looking ready to fill the role?
I thought it was fake though, because I thought Hunter Mahan was his
Yeah.
swing double.
No, so he ended up being called in after the fact. This is after Michael Block experiment failed. So I guess the production team decided that Michael Block didn't match the right height, like too tall.
Okay.
I think they said too tall or something. So that's why
Adam
they ended
Sandler.
up calling Hunter Mahan.
Adam Sandler's a short guy, from what I understand.
And Hunter Mahan was a pretty damn good double too.
Yeah.
Like those photos were pretty good. I didn't see the photo of Blocky though, so I don't know. I think the candles have been blown out on the block party though. That's just my opinion. I know Brent doesn't want to hear that, but still.
We already declared the block party over. So this was just
it's been declared over and then back on and then over and then back on. Like the block party's never ended. He's here. He's woven into the fabric of America at this point. Like Michael Block is the American dream. Yes, Tim, come on. But I just looked up. I know we said the height differential thing, but like I just looked it up. Adam Sandler's 5'10" and Michael Block is 6'2". So Ryan, you really need to see the photo because he makes a pretty damn good body double. He looked like Adam Sandler. He looked like Happy Gilmore. He looked pretty darn close to the guy.
Hutch, Brent says that Blocky will live on forever. So
That's right. Yeah.
You guys are in agreement on that. I think the block party is gonna forever be there. It's just on pause right now.
Forever.
Yeah.
It's in my heart forever.
On pause.
So, fellas, FedEx St. Jude Championship this week. Top 70 in the FedEx Cup standings. Is there anyone that you have your eye on? If you look at the top guys that are playing and you go down the list, I mean, the PGA Tour posted top 10 guys that are ranked in the field. 1 through 10, the only guy missing is Rory McIlroy.
I think Rory's going to win.
There's a lot of guys to pick from.
Yeah, let's go with I'm going to go Cam Young. Literally.
No, that's what I was picking.
Win he's got. He followed it up with another win. Shout out to Nosferatu or VC 606, whatever his name. Like ratings guru. I'm with him. Let's go.
Damn, I'm gonna take all the suspense out of it. I'm picking Cam Young too. That's who I was gonna originally pick. You beat me to it. You jumped in early
to it.
I was looking down the list. How about the captain? How about Keegan this week having a good week? That'd be a hell of a story. It would more than cement his spot on the team. But
just a reminder, fellas, this week no cut at any of the playoff events. So
what an interesting concept! If only there was another tour doing the same thing
with less holes
and more money.
Yeah. So TPC Southwind this week in Memphis. 72-hole scoring record was DJ. Actually, that's the tournament record. DJ at 2020 at TPC Boston. The scoring record at TPC Southwind is Hideki Matsuyama in 2024, 263. The 18-hole tournament record was DJ with a 60 in 2020 at TPC Boston. And at TPC Southwind, 18-hole record is Tom Lewis with a 61 and Bob Estes.
Wow.
Coverage this week starts on Thursday, 2 to 6 p.m. on Golf Channel, Saturday on Golf Channel 1 to 3, and Sunday 12 to 2 on Golf Channel. And also NBC will have the weekend coverage this week. Shifting back from CBS, did you guys see Ian Baker Finch's sign off there at the Wyndham?
Yeah. Such a good dude, man. Hate to see him go.
He's a good dude.
For sure. Well, fellas, it's been an awesome show. I think we're going to wrap it there right around an hour. As always, you can be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Nuclear Golf. You can find our podcast as well on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. We'll be back next week recapping the first playoff event. We'll be back next Monday. Without further ado, fellas, I think we're going to wrap it there. So we will see you guys on the next episode of the Nuclear Golf Podcast. Until next time, see ya.